Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 13th episode of the Minute Major Podcast of St. Louis. We're here in the middle of the week to bring a little Blues update after their games versus Toronto and Tampa. We recorded early last week, as you guys know, because Josh was in Green Bay watching the Lions beat the Packers. Let's go. And alongside that, we're going to muck it up a little bit, talk about some around the league stuff as we always do. It'll be short though, hopefully around 30 minutes so you guys can get in and out of this podcast. We can send you a longer one at the end of the week. But honestly, it was kind of busy while we were gone. Blues look good. We'll get to it. Let's start with around the league. Well, actually, I'm going to ask you how you're doing because I know that I'm doing better than I was yesterday. So hopefully you're doing good.
Yeah, we're doing good. Finally recovered from that cold, wet football game.
Yeah.
It was about 3.5 hours of sitting in about 30 to 40 degrees and torrential downpour. But got to see a winner, one hell of a football game, and my Lions took home a win, and now are first in their division. So I will take it. Great time. But doing well. Sounds like you had a heck of a day yesterday, but we're here, we're thriving, we're surviving, and hopefully we don't get too much more rain here.
Yeah, I was wet, just in a different way. A little basement retaining some water. It is what it is. We shop vac for hours and dealt with it. Now we're just hoping that this weekend rain doesn't do it again.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, but stay safe, St. Louis, I guess. That was the craziest rainstorm, 2 days straight of like 8 inches of rain, which is nuts. So just imagine if it was winter time and that was snow. Gosh. It's like a foot of snow. Oh, man.
Oh, Lord.
All right. Let's get into hockey. I wanted to start with talking about just a few things, just quick ones. Carolina, your team, your second team.
They're great. It's great.
The Hurricanes have won 7 straight games. 7. It's just under the radar, too.
Yeah. Especially for they were saying they lost players, they lost defense. Are they going to be as good? Did they bring enough in to help them? I think they're doing just fine.
They have like the best defense in the league. They let in like the fewest amount of goals, I think top 5.
Yeah.
And then Martin Nashis has like 17 points in like 7 games. Like, what is it?
Freak
17
of
points in like
nature.
10 games, 11 games. Just, he's a stud. Signed a ticket. Now he's back. Good for them, dude. They're just sneaky leading the East now. I guess besides Florida, but they're such a great team, and they always are a great team. Even without like steady goaltending from Freddie Anderson, who's hurt again. Sorry, buddy. It's not even the blood clot thing. He's just hurt again.
Yeah, he cannot catch a break. It's every year he's hurt. One way or another, he ends up hurt. Yeah.
It really sucks because he's a great goalie. And that's kind of the same. It's the same idea with Thatcher Demko. Just like, just please stay healthy. Like, we want to watch you guys play.
Yeah.
Crazy start for them. Moving on to the Kings, who are officially leading the Pacific Division after coming back. I think they scored 5 straight goals against Minnesota in Minnesota this week. Buzzing. Yeah. Darcy Kemper had a shutout recently. They're missing Drew Doughty. Everybody's stepping up. It's kind of what the Blues are doing, at least, but they're like winning games straight up. They're a playoff team. We've talked about this.
Yeah, there's no way they don't find a way into the playoffs, and then they're only going to get better when Drew Doughty does come back.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they're being led by like Fiala and of course Kopitar, who's like the best European player since Jágr. So
yeah, I think it's hard to compete with him in the captaincy spot. He's phenomenal on offense, phenomenal defensively, leads the league and one of the top face-off guys, and just a great leader. And I'm really he deserves to be this way. Like he's underappreciated too.
He is. He's like, just like I said with Kyle Connor last episode, that he's kind of the new Barkov. Kopi's still Kopi. Like, he's still underrated. No one talks about him at all. Great hockey player, great person too. Okay, next point, Nathan MacKinnon still just dominating, MVP candidate probably again. 5 points, 5 assists versus the Kraken last game. I guess they got to score 6 to win every game, as we mentioned, man. That team is so bonkers. It's like the most upside down team. They have the same record as the Blues still. Like, it's insane that they're even winning games.
But here's the thing. If they lose one of Rantanen or McKinnon or Makar, which Makar did leave the game the other night.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can maintain this because this is going to wear them out. And I know these are top players, but can they carry their team for this whole year? And I don't know if they can.
I think they're robots, though. I just think they're not human. Like, yeah. If they can stay healthy, that they're just gonna keep helping them somehow stay in the hunt.
Yeah.
Unless Joe Sakic and the guys they go after like a goalie,
But who?
They have to probably trade a pretty decent piece, and they don't have any healthy forwards to trade, so it'd probably be pick depth, and they don't want to trade away their whole lotto or their whole bunch of draft picks just for one goalie to maybe make a run. So we'll see.
I'm interested to see, is Rantanen a trade candidate at the deadline? If there's no deal in place and you're kind of in this in-between zone, do you move him to get a goalie?
Or interesting idea.
Or an off-season move? Because I truthfully don't know if they're going to have the cap or if he's going to want to stay there.
I think he loves it there. I just think it's the cap.
The cap, and you have to fix your bottom 6.
Yeah.
Really, honestly, you got to fix your bottom 9 in that team.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like, the 3 secondary scoring forwards are, like, hurt. So yeah. Ross Colton's leading the team in goals at one point, and then he got hurt. It's just, like, insanity, unlucky for them at this point. We'll see.
Yep.
Final point. We've talked about them a million times. They keep making us look like idiots. The Winnipeg Jets are officially 12-1 after a shutout by Hellebuck. They've won 4 straight after their loss to Toronto. Buddy, This is just unreal. I don't even I was watching the replay against Utah upstairs while I was eating lunch today, and they look almost unstoppable.
Yeah, they are.
I understand it's Utah, but right now the Jets could beat anybody by 4 goals, and I wouldn't even be surprised. We'll see. Maybe they'll get injury bugged. We don't want that. We want them to keep dominating because I feel like it gives the Blues a chance.
Yeah.
Because that just means that we're able to compete for a 2 or 3 spot or the wild card, because we thought these guys weren't even going to make the playoffs. So,
which here's the thing, though.
Which is insane.
I would take them in the playoffs, though. I would feel good about our Blues team if we're healthy, playing this team with maybe 1 or 2 additions going into the playoffs. I feel confident about a 7-game series against the Jets, though.
I always do. I agree. I always do.
We play them so well.
We play them well. We've always have in the playoffs. It's just the regular season they dominate us at home.
Yep.
Out of all the Central teams, I think it would either be Colorado or Winnipeg I'd want to play against, because I think Minnesota, Dallas, even Nashville, if they can figure it out, are going to beat us to a pulp.
Yeah, I don't want to.
We just got to be in the spot at the end of this month, as we mentioned, which we're on a good trend. We've won the first 2 of this 5-game homestand, which we mentioned if we could win all 5, that's huge without guys like Thomas and Broberg. So we'll see. But the Jets, Kyle Connor's just if he doesn't get the Rocket Richard, I'll be surprised at this point. He's scored every game.
Yeah, that's
the
biggest. He's only getting better too, and that's what drives me nuts.
He took a check to the back, and he fell face first into the back of somebody's head, with the helmet, and he was all bruised up.
Yeah.
But he's just a hockey guy. He's just an absolute beauty. Good for the Jets. I hope you guys can keep rolling. I had you guys as my Stanley Cup pick last year. So if you guys can prove me wrong, maybe I should have picked you this year.
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest question mark.
Yep, 100%. All right, do you have anything else until we hop into the Blues? This is going to be fast.
No, yeah, I think that's all I really got. I mean, the think we're seeing more injuries this year than we have in the past. And
Yeah.
I think Calgary's come back down to where they really belong. So I
Yeah.
think we're starting to really see who teams are at this point. Being almost 13, 15 games into the season for some teams, I think we're finally seeing what teams have to offer. So it's going to start leveling out here. And like we've preached, be in a playoff spot by Thanksgiving seems to be a lock for you to make the playoffs.
Right. That puts Nashville in a weird spot. They got to step it up. Okay, let's talk about the Blues, what we're all here for, of course. They played Toronto last Saturday. It was Berube's return to St. Louis. The standing ovation was long. It should have been even longer, in my opinion. Everyone loves that dude. He gave a little wave and a little side smile as he does, and then he went back to ferociously chewing his gum. But the Blues looked okay to start. It was like, oh no, here we go again. Down 1-0. Mitch Marner had scored from an assist from Timmins. And it was just a nice little feat. It was like he kicked it to himself, backhand, cheese wide open net on Bennington. And then that's where we were kind of like, oh, great, this is going to suck again. And Berube's going to make us look like crap on home ice. But we ended up tying it up.
They stepped up. I mean, and that's the thing. I don't like playing from behind, but this team has always found a way to respond. But is that a recipe for success? I don't think so. So this team's got to figure out how to stay in games and not always playing from behind. But you can't be mad. They still won the game.
Yeah.
They had to scrape through and get it. But this team is gritty. I think that's the biggest thing. This team's identity is we will play a full 60 all the way down to the end. We might have some periods of like 10 to 15 minutes or 10 minutes where it's awful hockey. But they're in a lot of these games. I don't think there's been games, a lot of them, besides that Minnesota home opener or the Ottawa game where you're just like, this is awful. There's been more where you're like, all right, I mean, we may have lost or we won, but it's close. And we're staying in these games, and that's huge.
Yeah. Honestly, it's a recipe to be a 500 club.
Yeah.
You got to go on a stretch. You can't just win 2, lose 1 or 2. You got to go on 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
And hopefully that starts now. We ended up tying it off a Parayko collap bomb. He shot the puck a lot this game. He also played like 30 minutes. And the reason was that Philip Broberg got injured on the boards. It was so wild to see live. Marner kind of just missed a check on him. And obviously Marner isn't a physical guy, so it makes sense that he screwed up and missed a check, and then he kind of lost his balance and all of his weight fell on Broberg's knee as he was trying to make almost like a push off to make a move past, and it just locked him up and crushed him. Really lucky that he's out only 4 to 6 weeks. It could have been a meniscus tear, an ACL tear. Like, that would have been really brutal. It's just partially brutal. It was scary. It really was. It's just like, that's your guy right now. And when that happens, especially after what happened to Thomas, you're just like, oh my God, we can't get away from it. It's just one of those years right now. But like Josh said, we're gritty. We have a lot of adversity on this team, a lot more than last year. Last year was brutal to watch in games like this. And we ended up scoring 3 unanswered, 3-1. Toronto came back, scored 1, and then Bush put the empty net goal in. And that was after some of the best fights in scrums we've seen in St. Louis in a long time. This team, you've said it before, they love to fight for each other. It's great. We're physical again. That's great. You know, obviously things to work on. This game was just perfect all the way around, minus, of course, Broberg getting hurt. They played fantastically. Played for each other.
I think that's the biggest thing we can ask for, though. And I think the thing I want to bring up from this game, and we'll kind of segue into our positives here, Parayko. Parayko has really stepped up. And I think Parayko also has the potential to have a career point season. This is me calling it. I think his career high is 35 points. I easily think we are passing 35 points. I wouldn't be surprised if we are in the 50 to 60 point range.
Wow.
Because
That's a crazy prediction. It could happen.
Because I think the realistic approach to this is Broberg's out. He's going to play heavy minutes for the next 6 weeks. All the opportunities there. Also, put him on the freaking power play. Let him take these one-timers that he's always had, but the man doesn't like to shoot the puck enough. And I don't understand it. Let him take slap shots. Let him drive plays. Because he already moves up ice and skates up ice. And I think being with Suter, who allows him to just go, this is only going to benefit him more in this stretch. And I think when you get Leddy back, I'm really wondering what the conversation of is Leddy back in that top pair or is Suter getting to hold that spot. And I really think Suter right now deserves to stay up there.
I agree too. Leddy coming back is a question mark. I think it probably makes sense to put him with Falk. And then you put P.O. back down with Kessel and let Scotty sit again. Which I don't have anything negative to say about Scotty P last game. We'll get to that. I agree. Just adversity through and through. The defense is playing great defense and scoring a lot. We're like top 5 in the league in defensive scoring, which when we won the cup, we were like first in the league. So we're right around those numbers. That's huge. And of course, Jordan Binnington was Jordan Binnington. He looked so good.
It's clicking. It's really clicking. I think he's finally in that zone.
Yeah, he just needed a little needed to give Brady a little glove to the face after that crappy Ottawa game, and now he's back. He's locked in. He's ready to beat that Mike Lee record. He's officially in second place all time in Blues wins for a goalie, which is nuts. So it's just insane.
Yeah.
Negatives, I don't know. I don't really have anything crazy negative to say. Maybe just
consistency.
Be consistent. Yeah, skate harder all the time.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for them is not making the fancy play. It's making the easy, clean play because easy, clean, and efficient is going to be better than 13 different drop passes or just willy-nilly hoping you can make a crazy pass. This team they're not a cute hockey team. They're not a cutesy play. That's not the way we need to do this. It needs to be north-south, in your face, good forecheck, dump and run. Not the fun plays, if we're being honest. Just go to the dirty areas, pick up points, stay in games, and just be a hard team to play against. That's all I think Blues fans want. I think we still understand we're in a retool, but we just want to be competitive. And if you're competitive and trying, I think no Blues fan in St. Louis is going to be upset with you.
No. Yeah. I always accept losses after we played a great game, you know? Yeah. But a huge win against Toronto. We're 2-0 against Toronto this year, which is great. And we've actually looked way better than them in both games.
Yeah.
Which is funny because it's the only team that the Jets have lost to. But huge 4-2 win last Saturday. Let's go back to yesterday, which was on election night. The Blues win 3-2 versus Tampa Bay. Wow, another great game.
Yeah.
Just overall, almost no negatives. You know, it's kind of the same thing we talked about. Let me roll through the goals here. I don't even know who this is. Perbix scored from Cirelli and Kucherov. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
And the Sonny came back and scored from Kessel and Bolduc, Torpchenko from Foxa, and then Kyrou again on the score sheet. That's huge for us from Shen and Saad. And then Tampa Bay made it interesting with the Hedman goal from Kucherov. It was a ripper. Can't even be mad. He just screened. But we held it off. Another great game as a team. And again, more adversity. Because Dylan Holloway got stretchered off the dang bench. He took a puck off the neck, finished the shift.
That was the craziest part.
Almost like got a point on a 2-on-1 break after getting hit in the neck.
Yeah.
And then it hit him just right in the perfect spot where he started like losing feeling almost. It was really scary. Yeah. It was super scary. He got stretchered off. We were all worried. They stopped the first period, and then they played the first minute or the last minute of the first period right before the second, and they continued the game on. And then we later learned that he was okay.
Yeah.
It was basically just precautionary to make sure he was okay.
Which he seemed fine until they show the video clip of Ray Barilli supporting his neck and head. And then you could tell
Yeah.
he was like, oh, something's not right.
Right. He
Which
started getting a little nervous for himself, and of course the players were too. So,
which shout out to Ray Barilli. The man
best.
is the best. He is a legend of that organization. And then the physicians and everyone that were there to help him. It was class act. Really appreciate everyone that was able to take care of Dylan Holloway, and I know Dylan Holloway does appreciate that. And we are happy that he is doing great today, as we heard, and is hoping to play Thursday night.
Yeah.
So hockey players, man. Hockey players.
Not only did he finish that shift after getting hit in the right spot in the neck, he's up and ready to practice and play today and tomorrow, but they said, okay, 24 hours, no physical activity. He's like, okay, fine. So we'll see if he plays. I mean, I'd love to see it. Just make sure you're all right.
Yeah.
So, and those same physicians and all those people that are helping Holloway, I'm sure the same ones that have helped Thomas and Broberg and Joseph and blah and Letty, just for years, of course. So yes, another thank you to all of you first responders, just in general. Thank you. Positives for the game. Again, a 3-2 win. We won the physical battle again, just like we did against Toronto at home. We were laying bodies. We out hit them. Looked so good on the forecheck. And I think that's just another piece of identity that's growing with this young team. They're gritty. Like
that's how you win cups.
That's how you win cups. Braden Shen has been like super ecstatic in the interviews. He's saying how happy he is that we're playing that way, and he wants to keep playing that way. And when your captain's that way, that's great. Good stuff. We're blocking a lot of shots too. Great stuff. I know Parayko's good for at least 2 or 3 a game anyway, but when everyone else is contributing, that's even better. A little lack of discipline on the negative end, but we did kill all 3 penalties. Huge for the special teams, especially with everyone injured. Kairu's scoring again. That's huge. If he can stop being so damn streaky, he can have 50.
The hard part is I think he's always going to be streaky no matter what we kind of say. It's the madness of Jordan Kyrou.
Yeah.
And he may go on a 15-game goal streak here. And that's how he still ends up with 30 to 40 goals by the end of the season, because the man can go on stretches like this. But we shall see. He's getting better. We give him a hard time in retrospect.
Yeah.
But he looks 10 times more mature this year than he has in years past. There's still instances where you're just like, come on, suck it up, grow up a little bit. But the vast majority of the time, I'm happy with him. He has so much potential, and I just want him to maximize it.
Of course. When you're growing older towards 30, you kind of figure it out. You're like, you've seen the team win. You were a black ace for the team that won. Like, now you're in the role of what was, O'Reilly and Tarasenko and Perron and those guys. Like, we need you to be mature to be that guy. I think he's starting to figure that out, which is huge. Yeah. I see him skating harder to get back, making good plays. Yeah, like, it's so funny to be this guy, but he literally crossed the red line, crossed the blue line himself, and just put it on net for an ozone face-off in this game, and I was clapping.
Yeah.
Like, actually applauding him. That's the stuff, the small things that are considered veteran plays that matter. So good stuff from him. Jordan Binnington, again, he's sole second place all time wins for the Blues as a goalie. You could argue he's the best ever in Blues history.
He may be, by the end of his career, I think it may be it may be a point where we are talking about Binnington getting a statue out front of the arena.
Yeah.
And he's one of the best, or the best, goalies in franchise history.
Yeah, I think he's gonna get a banner raised.
Yeah.
Just the sheer fact of how he got here and what he's done in kind of a short amount of time. He's a workhorse and he's a stud, man. I know a lot of people hate him, but you gotta respect the guy for being who he is when he's on. Like, one of the best. And he's gonna start for Team Canada. We
Yeah.
mentioned that.
Yeah,
He's gonna be the
it's
starter,
gonna happen.
dude.
Yeah, they gotta accept it. I know NHL fans hate it. He's the starter. Please give me a different goalie that you think should be starting. I find it very hard for him to get picked.
Yeah, I'm excited for him to keep going this year. He's gonna break the Mike Liut record soon.
Oh yeah,
and then it's only up from there. We'll see. He could get to 200 plus wins,
which would be amazing.
Which is almost unbreakable unless like Joel Hofer's the prodigy right after. You know what I mean? So we'll see. Thank you, Jordan Binnington. Negatives during the game: undisciplined, as I said, 3 penalties. Got to clean that up. We gave away the puck 18 times too. I wasn't really super watching the game because of election night or whatever, but 18's too many just overall. I don't care if it's in the O zone, the neutral zone, or the D zone. You can't give away the puck that many times. That's what is that, 6 a period?
Yeah, and the hard part, and it's a lot of injuries we're dealing with, a lot of players shifting a lot, and like, yes, the chemistry, but like at these points when you're a team with dealing with injuries, simple plays. Because simple plays don't lead to turnovers. Simple plays don't lead to a bunch of penalties. And like the next one that we're going to talk about here, 3 shots in the first period is pitiful.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get this team. Usually we're pretty hot out of the gate, but apparently in this game we didn't really want to be. So like, it's one of those where you're just like, all right, come on. And they just got to put it together. And I think once everyone gets healthy and they put it together, this team's going to be good.
Yeah.
And yes, we're still in a retool. And I don't want to put the cart before the horse in this kind of conversation. But this team has so much potential and it's so much more entertaining to watch than last year. And I can't reiterate that enough. This team is substantially better. This team is only going to get better from here. I think this is the bedrock, truly, of the foundation that will build this team to a powerhouse team and hopefully get us into a Stanley Cup window again.
Yeah, agreed. Just right now, it's finding their game. Of course, the injuries don't help. But we've said it a million times. You just got to play a simple game, and that's just how you win games in general.
Yeah.
You simplify everything, you make less mistakes. It's just like going back to basics. Why do people even say that if it wasn't so true? Just, you got to be basic, sometimes. You can be cute if it's like a 2-on-0 break, like, I don't know. Anyways, but we're not all Connor McDavid. But he makes the hard plays look simple. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Blues 2-0 to start this homestand. Love it. They got 3 more to go. Next game's against Utah, which would be basically today for you guys, since I'm going to release this tomorrow, the 7th of November, which I'll be there. And then Boston on the 12th, or is it before that?
We will play let's see, the Capitals this Saturday, the 9th, and then
Capitals
Boston the 12th. So
okay.
I will be at the Utah game as well. And then I will be at the Boston game.
All right. Sounds great. I might try and get tickets to that Capitals game because I want to see Ovi, man.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the last times. So, anything else you want to say?
No, I'm feeling good. I think we're at a good spot for the injuries we've dealt with.
Yeah.
And then I will bring up a little information on top prospect Dalibor Dvorsky. Okay. He is leading Springfield with points with 8 in 11 games. He has 6 goals, 2 assists. He is a -2, which is a little bit of a eek, but they had some barn burners with a lot of goals in recent games. So Dalibor Dvorsky leading the team, 8 points. Nikita Alexandrov earned himself an AHL contract, is second on the team at 7.
Nice.
Followed by Hugh McGinn and then Dylan Pedersen. So, the thing about it is Dvorsky's growing, maturing, and only getting better. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do this season. Yeah. And he seems to be a freaking shot crazy man. He puts a lot of pucks on net and is really good on the power play. So if this team gets to a point where he is contributing enough to bring him up, I would be super excited to see Dalibor Dvorsky on this roster by the end of the year.
It would make things a little bit easier. I mean, if Sonny stays healthy, you can just throw him in where Bush plays center and move Bush back to the wing, and that could help.
Yep.
Even though Bush seems to be kind of getting better, at least position-wise at center, he still can't win in faceoffs, and that's a big part of how you win hockey games. You retain possession right off the rip, you know. But that's cool. That's cool little stats. I'm happy for him. Happy for Nikita too.
Yeah.
Good for Nicky. Not even, he's just biting the bullet there and just playing, which is great stuff. So hopefully he can keep buzzing down there. And things are looking bright for the Blues. We heard that Matthew Joseph is skating today at practice. Of course, Holloway's okay. I no new news on Letty yet, but hopefully he's getting better. And let's keep lighting it up at this homestand, man. We need it big time. Let's move up the ranks while everyone else is kind of struggling below us, man.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And yet again, everyone, we want to say thank you for listening to us. And we're just going to keep putting out podcasts as much as we can and keep spreading and sharing to your friends. And thank you for getting us to 100 followers on Instagram.
Woo! We're almost there on Twitter, too. Keep sharing, baby. We love you guys. And let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.